Okay, so you guys are about to learn something about Mike here. In this new game, that will probably not be a recurring segment, but will be here.
Okay.
That I like to call FEY or Faked.
Ooh, FEY or Faked.
Yeah. So, in this game, I am going to be pulling up and asking Micah about popular cryptids. And Micah is going to have to tell me if he thinks they are either a multi-dimensional planes-walking Fey creature,
Okay.
or if they just don't exist at all. And you know, if
you're any in between, is this a categorical elimination of what these creatures may be, or is it we're fans of Fae and everything else is a fake, made-up gobbledygook?
I want you to give your real, actual opinions on what you believe these creatures are.
I was debating and wondering whether or not we were going to do bits on cryptids, and I'm glad we got
We're
here.
doing cryptids because I love your view on cryptids.
Briar and I share some things. We don't share a common interest in the paranormal the same way. Briar's a good sport. We like to talk about things. Briar is usually on the other end of one-sided yap sessions about Bigfoot, interdimensional imps, and poltergeists. So this will be fun because I feel like he's gonna be fucking with me. But we're gonna. I'm ready, bro. This is right up my alley.
We're gonna start off on a heater. Mike.
Yeah.
Bigfoot, Fey or Faked?
This one's easy. If you think Bigfoot's a real walking creature, you have subhuman IQ. There are few places in the world I believe a Bigfoot could exist naturally. I'm not saying they can't. The Florida swamp ape is an example of something that I think is extremely compelling evidence of semi-adapted primates or possibly hominids out there. But if you listen to a lot of Bigfoot stories, we're talking about red glowing eyes. We're talking about psychic connections. We're talking about all kinds of rituals. And I mean, Les Stroud, okay, the guy who does Survivor Man, to me, quite a credible man, spent half of his career chasing Bigfoot. And he believed that they were spiritual creatures. He believed at least that they had practices like religion. I'll go so far as to say the Bigfoot of legend is most likely a Fae, an interdimensional being who uses magic and other sorts of things beyond our understanding to exist in our world. It is as crazy as it sounds, but also, if we were going to have a cryptid to represent the human species, a giant hairy man is about the best a mind could conjure. So he's either not real or 100% a Fae.
Do you think the Yeti and like the skunk ape and all of them kind of fit in the same category?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
The Yeti was real and was killed in the 1600s by Napoleon. No, that doesn't make sense. Look, I think the Yeti is just, it's another form of the same prehistoric story of man versus the man other. Human beings existed along non-Homo sapien hominids, which I think would lead to a long history of stories of human-like hominids. And I think in remote places like the Andes, something like the Yeti would make sense to be a myth. But, you know, who knows? It might be a better suited environment for it, but a great ape needs a lot of fucking food to eat. If it's not a predator, then it needs vegetation, which I don't think there's a lot of up on mountains. Skunk ape, though, is a little different. Skunk ape is my backyard. You know, we're talking about swamps. We're talking about the South, you know, of the United States. And the skunk ape photo that was taken by that old lady is, to me, one of the most compelling. That's the one. The most compelling photos of a Bigfoot ever captured. One of the things about this photo that differentiates it from Bigfoot is the eye shine. Most primates don't have eye shine. Eye shine is something that is only really relevant to hominids. So the fact that this skunk ape photo depicts something orangutan-like with, and that's the second photo she took, with eye shine is definitely interesting. And I think these photos are completely authentic. But I believe that would probably less of a hominid, and it's probably just an escaped orangutan population that has a small breeding population within the Everglades or something. So, I don't know, I've got a little bit of a mixed opinion, but it's based on the stories, right? That photo speaks for itself. The problem is that people, they link too many stories together, assuming it is the detail of one entity. When in reality, Bigfoot could be real and other spirits could look like Bigfoot intentionally to scare us. That's the problem we have with ultra-terrestrials, or interdimensional beings.
Or Fae.
Fae! That's right. Magonia.
All right.
Yep.
The Loch Ness Monster.
Guys, I changed my mind on this recently. I thought the Loch Ness Monster was bullshit, because how the fuck is a goddamn dinosaur gonna exist in a lake? A lake, okay? Let alone a lake that, because of rumors of a fucking giant prehistoric monster, has been surveyed hundreds of times. But something recently had changed my mind a little bit. There's a common debunking point used against ghosts, which is, why are there only ghosts of like Victorian era people and people who were murdered? Where's the other ghosts? Where's the caveman ghosts? Where's the dinosaur ghosts? I believe that Loch Ness Monster is the ghost of a plesiosaur. I think it is more probable than half of these photos Briar's looking at right now. These are driftwood. This is people who don't know what they're looking at trying to hoax normal people because newspapers used to sell. But the idea of a ghost Loch Ness, to me, is a little more probable.
More probable than like a piece of driftwood, or?
No. More probable than a goddamn dinosaur surviving for 320 million years, bro.
Alright, cool. Alright, one of your personal favorites, goblins.
Ooh, goblins. Okay. Goblins. If you hear goblin, your mind is going to think of J.R.R. Tolkien fantasy. It's going to think of World of Warcraft. You're going to be thinking of
Dungeons and Dragons,
fantasy games.
Clash Royale, Clash of Clans.
J.R.R. Tolkien was two things. A expert in language, which is what he had his doctorate in, and an expert in folklore. The term dwarves, the term goblin, all these terms he lifted straight out of our history with folklore. And goblins have come up lots of times as a name for these mischievous entities that are always linked to the Fae. The term Fae is a kind of a historical term referring to Western culture's experiences with all kinds of things. Elves, ghosts, will-o-wisps, Baba Yaga. These are all instances of a world separate to ours in which creatures come and affect us. Usually they're mischievous and such. And a goblin is the prime example of terminology ripped straight from our past when dealing with Fae creatures. Nowadays they're depicted as big-eared, pointy-nosed, green-skinned weirdos. One of my favorite modern depictions of a goblin is actually Spiderwick Chronicles, which makes them look like frog-like, almost animalistic to the point that you could see them in our real life while also being distinct from the classic goblin you see. And yeah, I think they're great. I think they're Fae. I think we've had I think we should have goblins in our pop culture for the rest of time. And I think more people should remember that goblins are in fact folk creatures. They are real cryptids from our aeons ago. So they're the OG Fae.
Mothman.
Ooh. Mothman's interesting because most of you are normie plebs who don't understand a goddamn thing of what you're talking about. Mothman does not look like this. He looks like this. His story came with a lot of caveats. See, to cryptohistorians, the Mothman is a small part of a large breach of the veil in Pleasant Point, in that entire area. And so there's a lot of things that had happened during the Mothman encounters and the Chronicles. In fact, John Keel made an entire book, The Prophecies, the Mothman Prophecies, which comes with lots and lots of stories about things that had happened in Point Pleasant around that time, including the bridge that had collapsed. But one thing when you actually read the Mothman Prophecies is you will learn it's a damn alien. It's an alien story with lots of UFO encounters, encounters with other non-Mothman entities that were non-human, including Men in Black, people coming in to try to cover the scene. And this was all a year before the collapse of the bridge. So, equivocally, Mothman is an alien. Or, and this is why you should look into it, an alien pet. There's a lot to that story. I definitely recommend going down that rabbit hole.
All right, I got two more for you.
Awesome.
Santa Claus.
Is it fey or faked? Santa Claus, hilariously, when I do play Dungeons & Dragons, we're a bit of nerds, and I play Dungeons & Dragons, and every year when I have been running D&D, I like to do Christmas episodes, I like to do Christmas games, and on a couple occasions, old Saint Nick showed up as an actual elf fey in the game. It just makes sense. He's a guy who's full of magical powers, represents aspects of holiday and humanity. So I just figured he would be an archfey, you know, a lord of toys or something, or festivals or merriment or something. In real life, obviously he's based on a saint, Saint Nick, who was, venerated for his treatment of children. I was that kid, guys. My parents did not tell me Santa was real, and I spoiled it for all of the other little children. If Santa was real, he'd be a fae, or at least maybe an angel or something from Christ, because he's a saint. Unfortunately, the commercialism of the big red man leaves him in the faked category.
All right.
But I love me some Christmas.
Christmas is
Not a
awesome.
fae, just a fake.
All right. One last one. The Jersey Devil.
Well, it's right in the name, Briar. The story of the Jersey Devil goes like this. A woman gives birth to the spawn of Satan. That's the Jersey Devil. That's not the whole story goes. I think the lady's murdered, she's killed for being a witch, all those kinds of things, making a pact with Satan. But her child, offspring, is said to be the Jersey Devil. Seen hopping around buildings, coming down chimneys, terrorizing people, and in all of those stories, he's accompanied by magic fire, creepy poltergeist-like activity, as well as obviously being the depiction of a goat, something a lot of people in modern times, in the after the 20th century, goats are completely synonymous with Satanism, with Baphomet, and demons from the Ars Goetia. At worst, the Jersey Devil is in fact a demon. But my personal opinions are that demons is just the biblical explanation for fae creatures. Fae and interdimensional beings is an overarching category that explains all things that we have encountered as human beings that are not natural, that have unnatural powers and supernatural abilities. Even if it is a demon, the categorization is irrelevant, because if a demon's from hell, then it also counts as an interdimensional being. And the Jersey Devil, considering all of its magical powers and its magical origins, is by no means a natural creature, meaning to me it falls under demon or fae.
Alright, that was all of them.
Hey, that was a fun game, man. I'm glad you got me through that. I think we're going to be doing cryptid episodes in the future and some more stuff about this kind of stuff. Hopefully we can go to some more ghost towns and more haunted stuff, and maybe we can even go to some sites where some of these encrypted events happened.
That'd be awesome.
Maybe a trip to Point Pleasant. Hey, Hopefully we can do something like that, but this is right up my alley.